how's it going?
Great. Why? What have you heard?
Baldoni, you don't make fun of the situation. You take it very seriously. You file HR complaints. You raise the issue, and you follow a legal process. What you don't do is mock the person and turn it into a joke. There's no question it relates to Justin. I mean, anybody that can watch that.
Blake Lively was left in tears on SNL after Ryan Reynolds made a complete fool of himself on live TV in the most cringeworthy way imaginable. Blake had spent months carefully crafting the perfect victim narrative, hoping for a moment that could win her an Oscar. But, thanks to Ryan's spectacular self-sabotage, everything fell apart live on television, and now Blake is left to pick up the pieces. If you're wondering what went wrong this time, let me take you through it all. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds made their grand entrance at the SNL 50th anniversary event, smiling for the cameras as if everything was perfectly fine. This was their first public appearance since they'd been hit with a $400 million lawsuit from Justin Baldoni, but they acted like it was just another casual night out.
Got some laughs, a little uncomfortable from Anna Taylor, and then Kevin Costner just didn't react at all.
Yeah, okay.
He smirked and threw out a loaded one-liner. "How's it going? Great. Why did you hurt?" And just like that, everyone in that room knew exactly what he meant. They all knew about the lawsuit, the headlines, and the PR disaster that had been. It screamed, "Are you seriously doing this right now?" Because if there was one thing Blake wanted to avoid, it was having their lawsuit. Drama turned into material for SNL. It got some awkward laughs. Anna, Taylor, and even Kevin didn't react at all. But Ryan? He didn't care. This is what he does. He takes real-life disasters and turns them into punchlines. When the lawsuit made headlines in December 2024, did Ryan take a step back and handle it with any maturity? Nope. Did he personality? Same over-the-top feminist branding. Same empty male ally energy.
So much.
It was a very public and deliberate mockery. Fast forward to months later, and Ryan was doing it again, except this time, it was live on national television with Blake right there, caught in the middle. Really, dude? As soon as Ryan made that joke, the entire energy in the room shifted. Even the SNL hosts hesitated.
Reynolds, how's it going?
Great. Why? What have you heard?
Unsure whether to.
Oh, okay. So if somebody, hypothetically took a couple of nibbles backstage and, got excited, should they go to the hospital or should they?
Yes, they should go to the hospital right away.
Good.
Good luck.
Great.
Okay, next question.
Yeah, it wasn't funny. The only thing that was funny was the fact that he, made a point, and he kind of had to being there.
Question. Ryan replied, shifting gears. Yeah, it wasn't funny. The only thing that was funny was the fact that he made a point of bringing it up in the first place.
You don't make fun of the situation. You take it very seriously. You file HR complaints. You raise the issue, and you follow a legal process. What you don't do is mock the person and turn it into a joke. There's no question it relates to Justin. I mean, anybody that can watch that, the hair bun, the comment about the pregnancy. I mean, it's pretty obvious what's being done. But again,
But in that single moment, everything came crashing down. It wasn't an explosive lawsuit, a leaked scandal, or some career-ending revelation. No, it was one careless sentence, caught on camera, delivered with the kind of arrogance the internet never forgets. This all went down at a New York press junket for It Ends With Us, a film already mired in controversy. This event was supposed to be a PR win, a chance for Blake to remind the world that she was still the face of a powerful female-led project. And then, it happened. Kirstie D. Flaw, a veteran Hollywood journalist, respected, sharp, and completely unaware that she was about to become the catalyst for Blake's worst PR disaster yet, sat across from Blake and offered what should have been a harmless, supportive remark. First of all, congrats on your little bump.
First of all, congrats on your little bump.
Congrats on your little bump.
What about mine?
It was polite, friendly, and nothing out of the ordinary. But Blake's reaction was immediate and brutal. Her smile vanished, her body stiffened, and without missing a beat, she shot back, "Congratsy. On yours." The room froze. Kirsty blinked, caught completely off guard, and then it hit her. She wasn't pregnant. Worse, she had publicly shared her struggles with infertility. Within minutes, the clip went viral.
Clip was about 8 months pregnant, and the reporter remarked on Blake's baby bump. And then Blake, I'm going to play it, but she snaps back about the reporter's alleged baby bump. The reporter did not have a baby bump. She wasn't pregnant, and apparently it had a history of difficulty in getting pregnant, which is why generally you just stay far away for something like that.
Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, every platform erupted. Blake, who had spent years being admired and envied, was now being torn apart. This wasn't a slip-up or a misunderstanding. It was a conscious decision to humiliate someone in front of the cameras. The internet saw it for what it truly was: cruelty. Kirsty responded swiftly. On July 15th, 2024, she released a statement confirming what everyone had already suspected. This wasn't a simple mistake. It was humiliating. She explained her years of struggling to have children, how Blake's words felt like a punch to the gut. Ironically, she had been trying her hardest in that interview not to be a woman when she was asked about pregnancy, trying to avoid being reduced to just her body. She also took a moment to clear up any conspiracy theories. Kirsty made it crystal clear that she had no connection to Justin Baldoni, Blake's lawsuit, or any of the Hollywood drama. She wasn't some paid-off media puppet trying to smear Blake's name. She was simply a journalist doing her job. And Blake? She had gone out of her way to embarrass her. That was the moment everything changed. The internet turned on Blake Lively like never before. This wasn't about "it ends with us." It wasn't about Baldoni. It was about who Blake really was behind the perfect PR mask. People who had never cared about the lawsuit suddenly had a reason to hate her. The headlines weren't focused on her legal battle anymore. They were about her character. It wasn't a question of who was lying. It was now a question of whether Blake Lively had always been this awful. But Blake wasn't just losing the public. She was also losing control. While social media dragged her, her PR team launched a full-scale attack on Justin Baldoni. If they couldn't win on truth, they were going to win with smears. Enter Stephanie Jones and Leslie Sloan, two of Hollywood's most powerful publicists. These women had built their entire careers on cleaning up celebrity scandals. But this time, their job wasn't to save Blake. It was to destroy Baldoni.
Not something that we wanted out there. It's not something that Justin wanted out there. In fact,
by August 2024, the smear campaign was in full motion. Anonymous sources began to come forward, and major publications started running hit pieces on Baldoni overnight. The story shifted. Justin wasn't just a director. He was now a problem. He was controlling, difficult to work with, maybe even abusive. Some articles even hinted at new allegations, even though no actual claims had been filed. The goal was clear: make him look guilty, whether he was or not. But this wasn't just a whisper campaign. This was a full-on media takedown. The real bombshell? The New York Times jumped in. A prestigious, respected publication suddenly ran a pro-Blake article, treating her claims as absolute fact. At first, it looked like a major win for Blake. The Times was siding with her. That alone should have been enough to sway public opinion. But then Baldoni's team fought back. On September 4th, 2024, his lawyers released a massive collection of receipts, emails, text messages, internal documents. They exposed everything. They linked multiple anonymous sources directly back to Blake's PR team. They revealed that the New York Times had selectively edited text messages to make...
I've been involved in this case. I've gotten 50 either texts or emails or things to my firm's website, more than 50 actually, about this was my experience with Blake Lively.
Baldoni. Look worse. And just like that, the entire campaign collapsed. Hollywood panicked. Executives who had stood by Blake suddenly weren't answering her calls. Co-stars who once defended her went silent. Publications that had backed her lawsuit now refused to cover the case at all. It wasn't just that Blake was losing public support. She was losing Hollywood. Now Blake Lively wasn't just losing a lawsuit, she was losing everything. And it was getting viral. For years, Blake had carried herself as Hollywood royalty, graceful, composed, and untouchable. She was the golden girl, the A-lister, with a reputation so spotless it almost seemed artificial. But behind the perfectly curated image, the red carpet smiles, and the controlled PR machine, there was a very different version of Blake, one that Hollywood insiders had been whispering about for years. It wasn't the public who saw it first. It was the people who worked with her, the assistants, the crew members, the staff, those who weren't blinded by celebrity worship, but instead saw the real Blake Lively, the one who didn't need to perform. And now, they weren't staying silent anymore. By October 2024, over 50 industry professionals had come forward with disturbing accounts of what it was really like to work with Blake Lively. These weren't just vague complaints about diva behavior. They were horror stories. Crew members who had worked on her projects, including It Ends With Us, revealed that they were given strict instructions never to speak to her. No eye contact, no small talk, no approaching her unless absolutely necessary. This wasn't just celebrity privilege, it was controlled intimidation. People on set described working in a constant state of anxiety, never knowing if they were about to be yelled at or, worse, fired on the spot.
I'll call it, scored significantly higher than Blake Lively's cut. And still Blake Lively's cut was the one that was chosen. He still didn't do anything publicly about that. And that was the one chosen, because of the threats.
A production assistant from It Ends With Us later gave an interview detailing what life on set was like under Blake's rule. He explained that every day felt like walking on eggshells, where one wrong move could get someone thrown off the project. According to his account, crew members were removed for as little as looking at her the wrong way. It wasn't just difficult, it was unbearable. And the worst part? No one dared to push back. Even her own PR representatives knew exactly who they were dealing with. A former publicist who had worked with multiple high-profile celebrities later revealed that Blake was known as mean and ruthless in industry circles. She was controlling, manipulative, and impossible to challenge when she wanted something done her way.
Blake Lively is caught in old footage revealing that, yes, her secret plan is to always take control of the movies and lie to the directors to get it.
And that's exactly what happened with It Ends With Us. The film was supposed to be Justin Baldoni's passion project. He had been attached to it for years, working closely with author Colleen Hoover to make sure the adaptation stayed true to its message about domestic violence. He had a clear vision, a loyal team, and an edit of the film that scored significantly higher in test screenings than Blake's version. But none of that mattered, because Blake decided it wasn't her version. By April 2024, Blake had successfully forced him out of his own film.
Blake Lively is caught in old footage revealing that, yes, her secret plan is to always take control of the movies and lie to the directors to get it.
She took control of the final cut, rewrote key scenes, and ensured that her version was the one that got released. When Justin tried to push back, she locked him out of the editing process completely. One of Justin's editors later came forward in September 2024, revealing that Blake had inserted parts of Baldoni's original edit into the final cut without his consent. By June 2024, she had completely taken over the film's marketing. It was no longer about the original story, it was about Blake's narrative. Through it all, Blake Lively had one powerful ally backing her every move, Ryan Reynolds. To the public, he played the supportive husband, cracking jokes, dodging controversy, and allowing Blake to handle the legal battle. But behind the scenes, he wasn't just standing by her. He was actively involved in taking down Justin Baldoni. In January 2025, Justin Baldoni's legal team officially confirmed that Ryan Reynolds would also be sued. The reason? A private meeting at Ryan and Blake's penthouse that changed everything. This wasn't a casual dinner. This was a calculated power move. The meeting took place in March 2024, long before the lawsuit went public. Senior production members, executives from Sony Pictures, and key figures from It Ends With Us were all in attendance. The purpose? To discuss Baldoni's role in the film. But what actually happened was far more sinister. Ryan Reynolds didn't just express concerns. He tore into Baldoni. An industry executive who attended the meeting later described the scene in an interview with Deadline in January 2025. Ryan's behavior was described as aggressive, humiliating, and completely unprofessional. People in the room felt guilty for not stepping in. The goal was clear. Ryan wasn't trying to protect Blake from an abuser. He was trying to break Baldoni into submission. If Ryan truly believed that Blake had been mistreated by Justin, there was one glaring question. Why didn't he handle it through legal channels? Why didn't he file an HR complaint, involve studio lawyers, or take the proper steps? The answer was simple. It was never about justice. Ryan wasn't acting like a man trying to protect his wife from a predator. He was acting like a man determined to secure power. He was ensuring that Blake had full control over the film, shutting down any opposition, challenge, or voice that threatened her authority, and it didn't stop there. When the lawsuit dropped in December 2024, Ryan's fingerprints were all over the media coverage. This wasn't a random PR spin. Ryan had personally reached out to journalists before the story even broke. He made sure that, by the time the lawsuit hit the press, Justin Baldoni was already framed as the villain. Multiple sources later confirmed that Ryan had been feeding the media information, priming the narrative, and making sure the headlines were stacked against Baldoni before he even had a chance to defend himself. But now, the entire plan had collapsed. Justin Baldoni's lawsuit wasn't just about defamation anymore. It had expanded to include civil extortion, privacy invasion, and abuse of power. Ryan Reynolds, Hollywood's favorite funny guy, was now embroiled in one of the ugliest legal battles in entertainment history. Historically, Blake Lively has enjoyed robust support from her peers. Notably, her co-stars from the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, America Ferrera, Amber Tamblyn, and Alexis Bledel, publicly backed her after the initial allegations. Similarly, author Colleen Hoover, whose novel served as the basis for It Ends With Us, expressed solidarity with Lively. However, as the legal battle intensified, a conspicuous silence emerged from many of Lively's former collaborators. Actors and industry professionals who once praised her are now withholding public comment, perhaps wary of becoming entangled in the contentious dispute. This reticence isn't limited to Lively's associates. Ryan Reynolds, known for his affable and humorous persona, is also experiencing a decline in public favor. His attempt to inject humor into the situation during the Saturday Night Live 50th anniversary special, where he made a quip that skirted the ongoing legal issues, was met with mixed reactions. While some appreciated his lighthearted approach, others viewed it as a tone-deaf response to serious allegations. Amidst this turmoil, support for Justin Baldoni appears to be gaining momentum. Initially, Baldoni faced significant professional setbacks. His talent agency, WME, severed ties with him following Lively's allegations. However, as more details have emerged, a faction within Hollywood is reassessing the situation. One particularly damaging revelation for Lively involves a resurfaced interview from 2009, where she admitted to poisoning her Gossip Girl co-stars against actor Penn Badgley. In the interview, Lively confessed that she was initially upset about Badgley's casting and influenced the cast's perception of him, only to later acknowledge his genuine character. This disclosure has reignited discussions about Lively's on-set behavior and has been cited by Baldoni's legal team as part of a broader pattern of manipulative conduct. The cumulative effect of these events is a discernible distancing by Hollywood from the once revered couple. Industry events that once welcomed Lively and Reynolds with open arms are now marked by their noticeable absence. Projects that seemed tailor-made for their involvement are proceeding without them. This professional isolation suggests that the couple's influence and appeal are waning, a stark contrast to their prior status as a Hollywood power duo. In a Vogue interview, Blake admitted that she's not a fan of starting from scratch again. Why does all of this matter? As the legal proceedings advance, the potential ramifications for Lively and Reynolds are significant. a prolonged and public legal battle could further tarnish their reputations, making studios and collaborators hesitant to engage with them. Conversely, a resolution in their favor might restore some public confidence. But the scars from this dispute are likely to persist. For Baldoni, the outcome could either vindicate him, leading to a resurgence in his career, or solidify the damage to his professional standing. So, in the court of public opinion as well, as within the corridors of Hollywood power, the tides are turning. The once celebrated reign of Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds as a beloved Hollywood couple is now facing unprecedented challenges. Whether they can navigate this storm and reclaim their stature remains uncertain, but the impact of these events will undoubtedly resonate throughout their personal and professional lives for years to come. If you thought this Hollywood mess couldn't get any worse, trust me, it's just getting started. So hit that subscribe button because this drama is far from over.